This is the Solid Signal podcast for the week of March 1st, 2021. So, okay, cards on the table. I was going to do this whole podcast about how DirecTV was getting spun off at AT&T, and I was going to tell you how nothing was going to change and Solid Signal's still here for you and all that stuff. But you can read, there's an article on the Solid Signal blog, which is pretty much covers that. But I realized I don't need to do that particular podcast, and I lost all interest in doing that podcast once I watched the Golden Globes last night. I think the Golden Globes, I have to say, that particular broadcast of the Golden Globes is perhaps the best encapsulation of life in the last 12 months that I have yet seen. It is just the perfect, almost whimsical example of what we are all going through and how it has changed our lives and how in so many ways we just can't wait to get back to something resembling a little more normalcy. What am I talking about? Okay, first of all, the Golden Globes aired last night on NBC. And if you had tuned in a couple of hours early on either your NBC affiliate or on E, there is usually a red carpet show that happens. And this time they didn't have a red carpet show. I think I actually watched the E one, and I think they had one person who was there in person, and the rest of them were all coming in over Zoom. And okay, so cards on the table. I'm not talking about, Zoom, the company. I'm using it in sort of a generic way, which they probably don't like that I do that. I don't know what service they actually used, but whatever it is, they're coming in over teleconference or whatever. I'm just going to call it Zoom. You just have to get over it, folks. So that's right. Everybody that they interviewed for this so-called red carpet was just basically coming to you from their hotel room or from their back bedroom or wherever their dog was sleeping or whatever, and giving you at least half of their outfit. Some honest folks were bold enough to show you that they really weren't wearing anything more than sweatpants on the bottom. But most folks were perfectly willing to let you think that they had actually all the way dressed up. So get to the point when we do the actual broadcast. And okay, they did it. It was kind of a clever way. And I thought for about 3 minutes, this is going to be okay. This is going to really work out. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are so good, and they know each other so well that they didn't miss a beat, considering the fact that they were thousands of miles away. The timing was just incredibly, incredibly awesome. And they even made jokes about how they were in the same room but not, and it was kind of clunky, and how this was never going to work right. And so, okay, I thought we were off on on the right foot. And okay, and I'm going to pause for a second, and I'm going to say that there was a lot of political stuff in the Golden Globes, and I'm not going to talk about any of it because this is not that kind of blog. This is not that kind of podcast. We don't talk that kind of politics unless we absolutely have to, and let's be honest, we don't have to, pretty much. So I'm going to put that aside. But, okay, just starting right out of the gate, first award, okay, so the guy who won, Daniel Kaluuya, who was in Get Out, and he was in this other thing that was on HBO Max, Judas and the Black Messiah and everything. So he wins, right? Sorry, spoiler alert. He wins, and so I don't know if they muted him or he muted himself or whatever, but it's like the very first acceptance speech, you have to say, "You're still muted," which, is like the motto of 2020/2021, right? Because, I think how many times have you gone to a Zoom meeting and nobody had to say that? It just happens every single time. So right out of the gate, the first winner was muted. Give me a break, folks. And then it went on. Okay, Catherine O'Hara. Catherine O'Hara is a living treasure, and she's wonderful. And she had this whole deal, this kind of comedy thing cooked up where she was gonna accept the speech while her husband or partner, I don't want to judge or whatever, was on the phone while it was all happening, and that eventually she was going to get played off and he was playing the music. But it wasn't clear what was happening because they didn't understand the technology and how it worked, and it just looked like it was a big mistake until everybody was like, oh, that's what they're supposed to be trying to do, and it didn't really work real well at all, folks, I'll tell you. And from there on, oh my gosh, it was just Groan City. I mean, these cut to commercial breaks where they gave you 30 to 45 seconds of 5 different people on 5 different monitors. I presume they could all see each other and try to interact with each other, just kind of staring the way that everybody does when they're on Zoom and they're waiting for something to happen and they don't really socialize, and somebody says one dumb thing and everybody's like, oh yeah, and then somebody's dog gets in the shot or their cat gets in the shot and oh, look, the cat. It was like, just enough already. Seriously, enough already. I could not wait for this broadcast to be over. And I will say, I can't say enough about Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, and I loved the things they said. I loved their sense of humor. I loved the idea that they were trying to tell the difference between a Zoom movie and, I guess, a movie and a TV show. Not a Zoom thing, but a movie and a TV show. So like a movie is something that you won't spend 2 hours watching, but a TV show is something that you will watch 5 1-hour episodes in a row, because you're not watching TV for 5 hours. You're watching for TV for 1 hour 5 times. That is so, so true. They did their best. They got everything done, and they even had the show end almost on time. It was only 2 minutes late, despite the fact that they had a couple of sketches in there. They did a great job of having a small live audience in New York and another one in Los Angeles. Wasn't bad at all, but oh my gosh, the idea of doing these things remote over Zoom or whatever, let's not ever do that again, folks. Please, let's not ever do that again. Let's hope by 2022 that we don't ever have to do that, that we can all delete that app off our phones or whatever, but just gosh golly, just train wreck after train wreck after train wreck. And I don't normally like award shows. I don't like the really pretentious ones where I don't even know the movie that's being honored or whatever. I'm much more of a mainstream guy, but I would have settled for almost anything besides this. It was just bad enough that you could still turn it off if you wanted to. It wasn't like so bad that you had to look, but oh my gosh, I couldn't. I mean, for a lot of other reasons, I couldn't turn it off, but I'll just tell you. Just a note to anybody else who is looking to do this kind of event electronically, don't. Just don't. I will leave you at the end of this podcast with something that Tina Fey and Amy Poehler said at the very beginning, and it ended up being so, so true. This was the awards show that could have been an email, and that's it for the podcast for this week. Have a great time. Don't watch any more award shows, and I will be back in regular form complaining about the things that we normally talk about next week.